Texas, the land of opportunity, prosperity, and boundless ambition. But beneath the skyscrapers and bustling streets, a silent crisis is unfolding. Homelessness isn't just growing, it's exploding, turning sidewalks into survival zones and leaving thousands with nowhere to go. What caused this collapse? And more importantly, can Texas stop it before it's too late? Let's uncover the truth. Welcome to Globe Path Travel Documentary. Texas, a state built on prosperity, ambition, and resilience, is now facing a catastrophic homelessness crisis that threatens to unravel the fabric of its communities. Once thriving neighborhoods are now filled with tent cities, makeshift shelters, and people struggling to survive. Homelessness is no longer an invisible issue. It's spilling into public spaces, affecting thousands and reshaping daily life. How did Texas reach this point, and what's being done to fix it? This documentary takes a hard look at survival, the forces fueling the crisis, and the shocking impact it's having on communities across the Lone Star State. Life on the streets. Survival against all odds. For thousands of Texans, the streets have become home. But calling it a home is a painful understatement. It's not shelter, it's exposure. It's not security, it's vulnerability. Every night, families huddle inside cars, desperate to stay off the streets where danger lurks. Public parks, transit stations, and sidewalks have become crowded with individuals who have nowhere else to go. Under highways and freeway overpasses, makeshift tents and sleeping bags line the concrete, offering minimal protection from the harsh weather. As homelessness continues to rise, many rely on survival tactics just to make it through the day. Some use cardboard as insulation, wrapping themselves in layers of worn-out clothes against the chilling night air. Others sleep in abandoned buildings, hoping to remain unnoticed by authorities who routinely clear out encampments. Safety is a constant concern, with rising reports of violence, theft, and exploitation among those living without shelter. Finding food is another battle. Soup kitchens and food banks exist, but they run out of supplies fast, often turning people away when resources are depleted. The lines for food distribution have doubled compared to previous years, with demand far outweighing supply. Some individuals resort to scavenging through trash bins, searching for anything edible. Others trade possessions for meals, offering whatever they have left: an old jacket, a worn pair of shoes, or even their dignity. For those on the streets, hunger is not just a temporary discomfort. It's a persistent, gnawing ache that never goes away. Malnutrition is rampant, with emergency rooms reporting an increase in cases of extreme hunger and dehydration. Children and elderly individuals suffer the most, their bodies weakened by a lack of nourishment. The brutal reality is clear. On the streets of Texas, every day is a fight for survival. The drug epidemic, addiction as an escape. In the homeless encampments of Texas, drug addiction has become a pervasive crisis, entangling individuals in a cycle of dependency that is nearly impossible to escape. With no stable shelter, no access to mental health care, and no clear path to recovery, many turn to substances as a form of temporary relief, a way to numb hunger, exhaustion, and emotional pain. Fentanyl, a synthetic opioid exponentially more potent than heroin, has infiltrated the streets at alarming rates. Its cheap availability and devastating strength make it both a sought-after escape and a deadly risk. Methamphetamine, another widely used substance among the homeless population, keeps users awake for days, pushing the body past exhaustion in a desperate attempt to evade the dangers of street life. Dealers exploit the vulnerability of those living on the streets, offering drugs in exchange for money, shelter, or even basic necessities. In some cases, individuals unknowingly take fentanyl-laced substances, leading to fatal overdoses that emergency responders struggle to keep up with. Hospitals and rehabilitation centers are overwhelmed, forced to turn away patients due to lack of funding and space. A growing number of overdoses go unreported, with those dying alone under bridges or behind abandoned buildings. The streets are littered with discarded needles, hollowed eyes, and frail bodies battling both addiction and survival. The more individuals succumb to dependency, the harder it becomes to escape. Without intervention, this crisis will continue to spiral, pushing more lives to the edge of irreversible tragedy, more than personal. How homelessness affects us all. Crime is escalating. Desperate individuals faced with hunger and lack of resources increasingly turn to theft and minor crimes to survive. In many areas, law enforcement has noted a rise in burglary, shoplifting, and drug-related offenses near homeless encampments. Additionally, violence within homeless communities has surged as competition for food, shelter, and safety intensifies. Healthcare systems are overwhelmed. Emergency rooms are flooded with cases of malnutrition, untreated infections, and drug overdoses. Texas hospitals struggle to provide care for a growing homeless population that lacks access to regular medical treatment. Mental health facilities are severely underfunded, leaving thousands with conditions like schizophrenia and PTSD untreated. Exacerbating the crisis, businesses are shutting down. Commercial districts near homeless hotspots experience reduced foot traffic as customers avoid areas with visible encampments. Storefronts are frequently vandalized, and business owners report increased theft and security concerns. Many small businesses, unable to sustain the financial loss, shut down or relocate to areas unaffected by the crisis. Tourism is taking a hit. Texas, once a major destination for visitors, is now witnessing a decline in hotel bookings and tourism revenue. Areas previously known for attractions now feature sprawling tent cities, impacting the perception of safety and livability. Visitors encounter open drug use, overcrowded shelters, and deteriorating public spaces, leading to negative reviews and fewer return visits. What's being done? Policies and Programs in Action Texas has implemented several programs to address homelessness, but the crisis continues to outpace solutions, leaving thousands without stable housing. While emergency shelters, nonprofit aid, and legislative discussions offer some relief, most efforts remain temporary, failing to create lasting change. Government emergency shelters provide short-term relief, offering beds and basic necessities to those in immediate need. However, overcrowding is a major issue, with shelters often reaching capacity within hours. Many individuals are turned away, forced to sleep in cars, parks, or under bridges. The lack of long-term housing solutions means that even those who find temporary shelter often end up back on the streets. Nonprofit organizations play a crucial role in providing food, medical aid, and transitional housing, but resources are stretched thin. With over 27,000 Texans experiencing homelessness on any given night, nonprofits struggle to meet demand. Many rely on donations and grants, which fluctuate, making it difficult to maintain consistent support. Kiosks, food banks, and outreach programs frequently run out of supplies, leaving thousands without meals. Lawmakers continue to debate policy changes, but meaningful reforms, such as affordable housing initiatives, remain stalled. The Texas Homeless Network has advocated for expanding crisis response systems and increasing funding for housing programs, yet progress has been slow. Bills aimed at strengthening homeless data-sharing networks and improving youth housing services have been introduced, but implementation remains uncertain. Some efforts exist. Most responses feel like short-term fixes rather than lasting change. Without bold action and systemic reform, Texas risks seeing its homelessness crisis worsen in the coming years. Real challenges, real chances. Beyond numbers and policies, this crisis is about real people, people who never imagined they'd end up on the streets. Lisa's story is a heartbreaking reflection of how quickly life can unravel when financial stability is lost. Once a dedicated teacher, she spent years shaping young minds, believing in the power of education to transform lives. But when budget cuts forced her school to downsize, Lisa was among those let go. With no immediate job prospects and rising rent costs, she struggled to keep up with her bills. Within months, she was evicted, forced to pack her belongings into her car. The only shelter she had left every night, Lisa parks in different locations, hoping to avoid law enforcement or individuals who might pose a threat. She constantly worries about her 2 children, trying to shield them from the harsh realities of their situation. Finding food is a daily challenge. She relies on food banks and community donations, but resources are scarce. The emotional toll is immense as she battles feelings of failure and isolation. Despite her efforts to find work, employers hesitate to hire someone without a stable address. The cycle of homelessness tightens around her, making escape seem impossible. Mark's story is equally devastating. A war veteran who once served his country with honor, he returned home carrying the invisible wounds of battle, PTSD, anxiety, and depression. Without consistent mental health care, his condition worsened, making it difficult to hold down a job. Employers, unaware or unwilling to accommodate his struggles, let him go. With no income and no support system, Mark found himself on the streets, living under an Austin freeway. The nights are brutal, cold, dangerous, and unpredictable. Mark has witnessed violence among other homeless individuals, seen friends succumb to addiction, and felt the crushing weight of abandonment. His attempts to seek help are met with long wait lists and bureaucratic hurdles. The VA hospital is overwhelmed, unable to provide immediate assistance. The stigma surrounding mental health and homelessness makes it even harder for him to reintegrate into society. Lisa and Mark's stories are not isolated tragedies. They represent thousands of Texans who have been pushed to the margins, forgotten by a system that failed them. Their experiences prove that homelessness can happen to anyone, regardless of past success or service. Without proper support, recovery feels like an unattainable dream. The power of people, community, and volunteers in motion. Even in the midst of Texas' growing homelessness crisis, hope persists through the dedication of volunteers, community outreach groups, and advocacy campaigns. Across the state, ordinary people are stepping up to provide relief, fight for rehabilitation programs, and push for systemic change. Volunteers play a critical role in supporting homeless individuals. Many work in shelters and food distribution programs, ensuring that those without stable housing have access to meals, clothing, and temporary refuge. Organizations like Housing Forward and Coalition for the Homeless coordinate efforts to provide emergency shelter during extreme weather conditions, preventing unnecessary deaths due to exposure. Community outreach groups focus on rehabilitation and recovery, helping individuals escape cycles of addiction and mental health struggles. Programs such as New Life Veterans Ministry and Hope Restored Missions offer counseling, job training, and transitional housing, giving people a chance to rebuild their lives, and advocacy campaigns are pushing for legislative action, demanding policymakers prioritize affordable housing and mental health services. Groups like CFTH Houston work to shift the conversation from managing homelessness to solving it, ensuring that funding is directed toward long-term solutions. While the crisis remains one of Texas' greatest challenges, the power of people is undeniable. Volunteers, activists, and community leaders continue to fight for change, proving that compassion and action can make a difference. Looking ahead, a blueprint for lasting change. Texas stands at a crossroads. Either it takes decisive action to combat homelessness, or the crisis will continue to spiral out of control. The road to recovery requires bold, systemic change, addressing the root causes rather than applying temporary fixes. Affordable housing must be prioritized. Texas has long been known for its relatively low cost of living, but in recent years, housing prices have surged, pushing thousands into homelessness. Reforming zoning laws to allow for more affordable housing developments is crucial. Programs like the Texas Foundation's Fund, 2025, aim to assist low-income households with home repairs, eviction prevention, and financial literacy, but funding remains limited. Without significant investment in low-cost housing, more families will continue to lose their homes. Mental health and addiction recovery programs must expand. A large percentage of Texas's homeless population suffers from untreated mental illnesses and substance abuse disorders. Programs like permanent supportive housing and Healthy Community Collaborative provide mental health counseling and rental assistance, but demand far exceeds availability. Without accessible rehabilitation centers and long-term mental health care, individuals trapped in cycles of addiction and instability will struggle to reintegrate into society. Employment and skill-building programs must be supported. Many homeless individuals want to work but lack the resources to secure stable employment. Job training initiatives and reintegration programs can help people rebuild their lives, offering them the skills needed to find sustainable work. Texas must expand workforce development programs and remove barriers that prevent homeless individuals from accessing employment opportunities. The only question left is, will Texas act now, or will the crisis continue to spiral further out of control? Without bold legislative action and community-driven solutions, homelessness will remain an escalating emergency rather than a solvable challenge. Be part of the change. The homelessness crisis in Texas isn't just a statistic. It's a human struggle unfolding in real time. Every tent, every shelter, every street corner tells a story that demands attention. This is more than just a documentary. It's a call to action. Change begins with awareness, advocacy, and compassion. By sharing these stories, supporting organizations on the ground, and pushing for real policy reforms, we can help turn the tide on this crisis. Stay tuned for more eye-opening investigations with Globe Path Travel Documentary. Subscribe, like, and share, because these stories deserve to be seen.